It's been a little over a month since J.D. Vance was tapped to lead the anti-fraud task force. Since then, look at this. 186,000 dead people have been flagged collecting SNAP benefits. Ouch. $1.3 billion fraudulent Medicaid payments to California suspended. $1.4 billion in federal funding has been withheld from home health and hospice providers. Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz joins me now. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Is it me or my imagination that a lot of this fraud is concentrated in blue states?
There are a lot of blue states involved, and we'll talk about why that might be the case, but there's plenty of fraud in red states as well. We've written letters to Florida. Maine, where the vice president just returned from, has gotten a letter from us because they've had some significant fraud issues. But I do think the actions we took this week with the vice president and the anti-fraud task force reflect the bigger concern we have, where the varsity team is playing in fraud. And some of those players are in the government of California, where they were warned years ago that there was fraud in hospice. Hospice, a precious program for people at the end of their life that should be equally dispersed around the country because people die everywhere. 1/3 of all hospices in the entire nation are in Los Angeles, not California, just LA. And so we took action. We suspended payments to 800, roughly half of the hospices in California. We have suspended payments for it. It's $1.4 billion in savings. And the vice president said it well. He said, how is it possible that no one's complaining? That's a good question.
Well, you had to stop it. You guys had to stop it. Why didn't the local authorities stop it? Is it because they were unwilling to stop making payments to people who were voting for them?
Well, I do think political patronage is a major concern. And it's more than just getting people who are in your communities to be happy. I think that was a big issue with the Somalians in Minnesota, where Governor Walz just didn't want to upset the apple cart in Minneapolis, where all his votes are coming from. But I've got a bigger concern in Minnesota, in California, and here in New York, where we are right now. Number one job in the entire state of New York is personal care services. You'd never guess it. You'd think it would be finances people or bus drivers, or it's personal care services, where you're paying a kid to do something he probably would have done for his parents anyway. Carry the groceries upstairs, drives your parents to the doctor's office. Now, the reason this got so big, we are concerned that a reason is that it's allowing a jobs program to exist on the back of the federal taxpayer. So if someone would have been unemployed, but now they have a job doing the kinds of things I just mentioned, they're getting salaries that gets taxed, and those folks now don't show up as unemployed in the state of New York. So there's a possibility that 500,000 people who are now doing something that we weren't paying a lot of money for in prior years has become a jobs program. And then now, you know, I've learned the unions are getting involved. 1199 is unionizing these folks, and that is a political patronage issue, because now you've got union dues funding a political party, because they don't tend to fund both parties equally in New York State.
500,000 cases in New York State.
Individuals in New York State are providing personal care services. Again, these are the kinds of things you would do for your family normally. My concern is some of these programs are very helpful. They keep people out of nursing homes. But when you do it without guardrails, people take advantage of it. And that's what we're seeing.
Next one. In Maine, Maine's been hit with a federal audit exposing $45 million worth of improper Medicaid and payments for autism services. Here's what J.D. Vance says about that. Roll the tape, please.
You've seen people go out there and say that they're providing services to autistic children, when in reality, they maybe don't have any children at all, or they certainly don't have autistic children. So they get paid millions and millions of your dollars to provide services that they're not actually providing. And oh, by the way, what happened to the autistic children and their families who actually need those services? You have been fleeced by your own government for far too long, and we are stopping it every single day.
Let me add to that. In Florida, a software company owner was convicted for running a $1 billion fraud scheme. So it is in every state. I got that.
I'll one-up you. Just practical common sense question. We have twice as many people selling wheelchairs and canes and knee braces in South Florida than McDonald's. Like, how many durable medical equipment suppliers do you actually need? In the case of South Florida, we think the Cuban government is involved, and it actually may be aiding and abetting. Here in New York, we think the Chinese organized criminal syndicates are involved. In California, we have the Russians. So these are weaponized, big-time programs. What the vice president spoke to about autism care is important as a principle. If these scoundrels are willing to steal your money, they will steal your health, they'll take your life. And that's the bigger concern. Think about this. You get moms that are actually now sometimes even getting bribed to pretend their kids have autism because they can get
yes, I know.
money on the side. But those kids are labeled for the rest of their life as having autism, and they're taking services from kids who need those services.
We'll leave it right there. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Doctor. Appreciate it. There will be more Varney after this.